Are you over 60 and trying to eat healthier to protect your brain and heart? If so, there's something important you need to know, because one small everyday habit could be quietly raising your risk of stroke while you sleep. No warning signs, no chest pain. You go to bed feeling fine, and by morning something's changed. Your words are jumbled, your arm won't lift, your balance is gone. As a neurologist who's cared for seniors for over 30 years, I've seen this exact story unfold again and again. And not just in people who smoked or ate too much sugar. Often, it happened in people who were doing their best, especially those who thought eating more vegetables was always the right answer. The truth is, not all vegetables are safe for older adults, at least not in certain forms or combinations. Some vegetables, though praised for their nutrients, can interfere with medications, spike blood pressure overnight, or even trigger clotting responses that increase your stroke risk. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 vegetables that may be doing more harm than good after 60 and how to eat smarter to protect your brain and independence. What you learn here could truly change the course of your health. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Cucumber. The safe snack that could spike your blood pressure and starve your brain while you sleep. It seems so simple, doesn't it? A few slices of cucumber in the evening, crisp, clean, hydrating. It feels like the safest snack in the world, especially for older adults watching their weight, managing their blood sugar, or trying to avoid late-night cravings. For years, cucumbers have carried a reputation of being virtually risk-free. But as someone who has spent decades caring for the aging brain, I've seen firsthand how even the most innocent habits can create hidden harm, particularly after the age of 60. Cucumbers, while low in calories and high in water, act as a natural diuretic. They encourage your body to eliminate fluids, especially sodium, through increased urination. That may sound like a good thing, but the timing matters more than most people realize. When cucumbers are eaten late in the day or close to bedtime, they can lead to overnight fluid loss at the very time your body is supposed to be rebalancing and restoring. This becomes dangerous when you consider how the body changes with age. Kidney function slows. Arteries become stiffer. The nervous system that once adapted quickly now responds more sluggishly to dips and rises in blood pressure. A simple loss of fluid during the night can set off a cascade: dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, and sharp changes in circulation. And while your body might recover during the day, it's during the quiet hours of sleep when you're most unaware that the real danger unfolds. Let me tell you about someone I knew personally. Raymond Parker, an 84-year-old retired train conductor from Illinois, came to my clinic after waking up one morning unable to find his balance. He hadn't had a stroke yet, at least not a full one. But his blood pressure readings showed something concerning: extremely low numbers overnight, followed by a rapid surge just before waking. He mentioned his nightly habit of cucumber slices paired with lemon water, thinking it was a light snack to help digestion. He was also on a diuretic and beta blocker, both common medications for someone his age. What happened in Raymond's case is something I see far too often. The combined fluid loss from the cucumbers, the medication, and natural age-related changes caused a dip in blood volume while he slept. His body responded by tightening the blood vessels and surging pressure back up in the early morning. That sudden change nearly led to a full-blown stroke. Thankfully, we caught it in time. We adjusted his medication schedule, eliminated raw cucumbers at night, and emphasized a more balanced approach to hydration that supports his blood pressure through the night, rather than working against it. This is not about blaming cucumbers. It's about understanding that as we age, even healthy foods have different effects. The body becomes more sensitive, less forgiving. What once served us in our 40s or 50s may now require a different approach in our 70s or 80s. So if you've adopted small, healthy habits like late-night veggies, take a moment to consider how they interact with your current medications and overall circulatory health. Because sometimes what we don't feel is what hurts us most. And if cucumbers can quietly disrupt your overnight circulation, imagine what happens when another trusted vegetable begins to interfere not just with blood flow, but with the delicate function of your thyroid and your brain. Let's take a closer look at broccoli and why it may not be as harmless as you think. 2. Broccoli, the brain food that could quietly disrupt your thyroid and starve your brain of oxygen. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. Broccoli is one of the healthiest vegetables you can eat. And in many ways, that's true. It's packed with antioxidants, fiber, and compounds that support the body's natural defenses. But as someone who works with aging adults every day, I've learned that even the healthiest foods need to be approached with care after 60. Because what your body could once handle with ease may now come with consequences no one warned you about. Broccoli belongs to a group of vegetables known as cruciferous, along with kale, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. While these vegetables have their benefits, they also contain compounds called goitrogens. In moderate amounts, they're not usually a problem. But in high quantities, especially when eaten raw, goitrogens can interfere with thyroid function. That matters more than most people realize, especially later in life when your thyroid is already slowing down. Your thyroid helps regulate metabolism, blood pressure, and heart rhythm. When its function drops even slightly, the effects ripple through your whole body. Circulation slows, blood becomes thicker, and the risk of clot formation rises. That's where the trouble begins. I remember working with Paul Henderson, a 78-year-old retired high school science teacher from New Hampshire. Paul was thoughtful, meticulous, and determined to stay healthy through food. He had read up on anti-inflammatory diets and began eating large portions of raw broccoli every day, sometimes as a salad, sometimes blended into green smoothies. He felt energized at first. But within a few months, he started to notice unusual fatigue, lightheadedness, and a strange tingling sensation in his fingers. His blood pressure was low, and his resting heart rate had slowed. When his labs came back, they showed signs of early hypothyroidism and elevated blood viscosity, meaning his blood was thicker than normal. Then came the moment that changed everything. One morning, while stepping out to check the mail, Paul collapsed on his driveway. A mild ischemic stroke had disrupted the blood supply to part of his brain. Fortunately, he got help quickly and made it through, but with some lingering speech issues and reduced sensation in his left hand. Looking back at his food log, it became clear. The constant high intake of raw cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli, had overloaded his system. His thyroid had quietly slowed, his circulation faltered, and the stage was set for a stroke. No warning, no chest pain. Just a routine that seemed healthy on the surface, but wasn't right for his age or physiology. We didn't take broccoli off his plate entirely. Instead, we changed how it was prepared, lightly steamed, smaller portions, and rotated with other vegetables less likely to interfere with thyroid or blood function. Within a few weeks, Paul's energy returned, his thyroid numbers improved, and he felt like himself again. This is the lesson. Even good food can cause harm when the dose is wrong or when it doesn't match your body's current needs. After 60, your system runs differently. It requires thought, balance, and a willingness to adapt, not fear, but respect. And if something as trusted as broccoli can quietly alter your blood chemistry and strain your brain, it's worth asking what happens when you add another food that can thin your blood so much a single weak vessel might give way? That's what we'll explore next as we take a closer look at garlic. Stick with me. 3. Garlic, the natural cure that could thin your blood to the point of a brain bleed. Many older adults view garlic as one of the safest, most healing foods they can add to their plate. It's been passed down through generations, used to flavor meals, soothe coughs, and support heart health. And much of that reputation is well earned. Garlic contains compounds that can reduce inflammation, improve cholesterol profiles, and support circulation. But for those over 60, especially those managing heart conditions or taking prescription medications, garlic's benefits can quietly become a burden. This is especially true when garlic is eaten raw and in high amounts. The compound responsible is allicin, which acts as a natural blood thinner. That's helpful in moderation, but when it's paired with medications like warfarin, aspirin, or Plavix, the result can be dangerous. These medications are already thinning your blood to prevent clots. Add daily raw garlic to the mix, and the balance tips. Your blood may become so thin that even a minor internal bleed becomes a crisis. That's exactly what happened with Margaret Ellis, age 82, a retired florist from North Carolina. She had been on warfarin for several years after being diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. Her doctor monitored her carefully, and for the most part, her INR, the measure of how long it takes your blood to clot, remained stable. But Margaret had read an article online promoting raw garlic as a superfood that could reverse heart aging. She began slicing 2 raw cloves each night into her salad, thinking it was a gentle, natural step toward better health. Within weeks, she began experiencing dizziness and subtle headaches that would come and go. One morning, she awoke nauseous and confused. By the time her daughter found her, Margaret could barely speak. In the ER, a brain scan confirmed a hemorrhagic stroke. There had been no fall, no trauma, just a tiny vessel in her brain that had ruptured in the night. Her INR was dangerously elevated. The warfarin hadn't changed, but the garlic had amplified its effects far beyond what her body could handle. Margaret survived, but she now speaks with difficulty and uses a walker. She told me later with tears in her eyes, "I thought garlic was good for me. I didn't know it could be too much." That's what makes this so heartbreaking. She wasn't being careless. She was trying to stay healthy. She was trying to live longer. This isn't a warning against garlic itself. Cooked or used in moderation, it can still be part of a supportive, heart-smart diet. But raw garlic, eaten in large daily amounts on top of blood thinners, is not harmless. It acts like a drug, and it should be treated with the same caution. At this age, your food doesn't just nourish you, it interacts with your medications, your metabolism, your circulation, and sometimes even a natural remedy like garlic can push your system into dangerous imbalance. And while garlic can silently thin your blood beyond safe limits, there's another common vegetable that can push in the opposite direction. One that can quietly raise your blood pressure, tighten your arteries, and place more strain on your heart than most seniors ever realize. It's praised for its iron and antioxidants, yet in the wrong context, it can make your blood too thick and too sluggish. Let's take a closer look at spinach. 4. Spinach, the healthy green that could secretly trigger a stroke in your sleep. If you're over 60, you've likely been told more than once to eat your green specialty spinach. It's been praised for generations as a brain-boosting, heart-protecting powerhouse. And to be clear, spinach does offer valuable nutrients. But for older adults, especially those with subtle kidney decline or certain medications, this leafy green can quietly lay the groundwork for something far more dangerous than anyone expects: a stroke. The issue isn't with spinach itself, it's with how much, how often, and how your aging body handles it. Spinach is loaded with oxalates, naturally occurring compounds that bind to calcium in your bloodstream. In younger bodies with strong kidney function, this isn't usually a problem. But as we age, the kidneys don't filter as efficiently. Combine that with mild dehydration, which is common in older adults, and the oxalate burden grows. These calcium oxalate compounds can begin to form crystals, not just in the kidneys, but within the vascular system. Over time, they stiffen and narrow the arteries, especially in the brain. This chronic process is silent. You feel fine, maybe even great, especially if you think you're fueling your brain with something healthy. But inside, your circulation is becoming more sluggish, and your blood is more likely to form clots. I remember working with Mr. Malcolm Wright, a 76-year-old retired architect from Colorado. He was disciplined, careful, and deeply committed to what he called his anti-aging regimen. Every evening for over a year, he blended a green smoothie, raw spinach, almond milk, and a handful of frozen fruit. He avoided processed foods, watched his salt, and walked daily. He wasn't on many medications, just a calcium supplement and a low-dose diuretic for blood pressure. By all outward appearances, he was doing everything right. Until the morning His wife found him on the bathroom floor, unable to move his left side. No warning signs, no dizziness the day before. Just a quiet night's sleep, then a clot in his brain by morning. His labs told the story. Low kidney filtration, abnormal calcium levels, and signs of vascular stiffness. There was no smoking, no red meat, no sugar excess. The problem was the daily spinach, raw and repeated, slowly altering his blood chemistry in ways that made stroke more likely. Malcolm recovered, but he now walks with a cane and struggles with memory. When we talked afterward, he said, "I never would have guessed spinach could hurt me. It was the one thing I thought I was doing right." That's the reality I want every older adult to understand. Health isn't just about what you eat, it's about how your body processes it now, not 20 years ago. Spinach isn't off limits, but raw spinach every day, combined with age, dehydration, and certain medications, can create the kind of imbalance that leads to catastrophe. And if that surprises you, consider this. What if another common vegetable, one that's often grilled or baked and praised for its antioxidants, could be raising your blood pressure and constricting your blood vessels without you realizing it? Let's take a closer look at eggplant. 5. Eggplant, the forgotten vegetable that could constrict your arteries and trigger a stroke without warning. It's easy to see why eggplant has earned a reputation as a healthy choice. It's rich in fiber, low in calories, and full of antioxidants that support heart and brain health. Many older adults even turn to it as a brain-friendly food thanks to niacin, a compound found in the skin that helps protect cells from oxidative stress. But what most people over 60 don't realize is that eggplant also carries a hidden risk, especially when eaten often and in large portions. It contains solanine, a natural plant compound found in nightshades, which can quietly affect blood flow in the aging body. Solanine isn't dangerous in small amounts for most people. But in seniors, especially those with underlying circulatory or neurological issues, solanine can contribute to vasoconstriction, a tightening of the blood vessels. That tightening reduces blood flow, and when that happens in the brain, even a minor dip in circulation can raise the risk of clot formation, particularly during sleep when blood pressure fluctuates more dramatically. What starts as a well-intentioned meal can over time create a fragile environment for your blood vessels. One case that stays with me is that of Mr. Harold Jennings, an 80-year-old retired high school principal from Mississippi. He had no history of smoking, no family history of stroke, and his cholesterol was well controlled. He cooked for himself, followed a mostly plant-based diet, and loved his signature baked eggplant dish, something he made 3 times a week. For months, he complained of feeling occasional lightheadedness, tingling in his fingertips, and a mild pressure behind his eyes. At first, it seemed like nothing serious, but one morning he lost his balance while getting out of bed and fell. In the ER, we discovered he'd suffered a mild ischemic stroke. There were no obvious red flags, but his lab results and imaging showed signs of vascular inflammation and narrowing in small brain vessels. As we traced back through his habits, the pattern emerged. His high intake of eggplant, combined with his age and reduced vascular elasticity, had contributed to an environment where blood flow was compromised. His stroke didn't come from high cholesterol or poor lifestyle, it came from an overexposure to something he thought was helping him. That's what makes these cases so heartbreaking. Harold told me, "I thought I was doing it all right, home cooking, no junk food. I didn't know one ingredient could throw my body off like that." This isn't about blaming eggplant or any single food. It's about understanding that as we age, even healthy foods need to be approached with awareness. Your body is more sensitive now. Your blood vessels less forgiving. What once gave you energy can now shift your chemistry in subtle but dangerous ways. So, if eggplant and other nightshades may pose a risk for the aging brain and circulatory system, what should you eat instead to nourish memory, clarity, and cognitive health in a safe, supportive way? Let's take a closer look at the vegetables and nutrients that work with your brain, not against it, especially after 60. 6. So, what should you eat? Real foods that truly protect the aging brain. It's understandable for older adults to feel overwhelmed after learning that even seemingly healthy vegetables can carry hidden risks. I've had many patients come into my office feeling discouraged, asking if anything is truly safe to eat. And I always tell them this: your brain doesn't need perfection. It needs balance, consistency, and respect for how your body has changed with age. You don't need expensive supplements or trendy powders. What you need is clarity and a return to the basics. Take the story of Mr. Albert Raymond, a 75-year-old retired accountant from North Carolina. When he came to see me, he was doing everything by the book. At least that's what he believed. He started every day with a brain smoothie that included raw spinach, garlic, and almond milk. He took fish oil capsules, a B complex, magnesium at night, and vitamin D with dinner. He avoided junk food, walked every day, and never missed a dose of his medications for blood pressure and cholesterol. But Albert was still struggling. He felt lightheaded most mornings. His memory was slipping, his sleep was restless, and he often woke with a pounding heart. His labs showed inconsistent electrolytes, mild dehydration, and signs of inflammation in his blood vessels. What Albert didn't realize was that his routine, though full of good intentions, was creating internal confusion. The raw spinach and garlic were thinning his blood. The almond milk lacked electrolytes. His supplements were clashing with his prescriptions. And the timing of it, especially taking magnesium and vitamin D late at night, was interfering with how his body regulated pressure and fluid balance during sleep. So we stripped everything back. We returned to real whole food. His new breakfast was simple: a soft boiled egg, half an avocado, and a piece of whole grain toast. We added a handful of blueberries mid-morning. Lunch was a bowl of lightly steamed vegetables with brown rice and grilled salmon. And most importantly, he drank a full glass of room temperature water first thing every morning to rehydrate after sleep. No green powders, no nighttime supplements, just food his body could recognize and process gently. After 3 weeks, Albert reported fewer dizzy spells. His thinking was clearer. His blood pressure stabilized. "I feel like my body is finally working with me," he said. And he was right. Because when you stop chasing complicated fixes and start listening to your body's real needs, healing becomes possible again. But here's what matters most. Even the right foods must be matched to your condition, your medications, and your hydration. It's not just what you eat, but how, when, and why. The real solution isn't just on your plate. It's in your awareness. Because your future isn't shaped by fear or fads. It's shaped by the quiet power of paying attention. Let's carry that with us into the final reflection. It might just change everything. Awareness is the quiet strength that becomes your greatest protection after 60. If you're still here, it means you're choosing to pay attention not just to life expectancy, but to the quality of the life you're living. And that choice matters more than any supplement, superfood, or new health routine. After years of walking beside older adults through recovery, loss, and healing, I can tell you this with certainty. The real turning point in health isn't found in a bottle or a gym. It begins with awareness. As your body ages, every system becomes more sensitive. Your liver processes things more slowly. Your kidneys don't filter as efficiently. Your brain doesn't rebound from small shifts in hydration or pressure like it once did. That doesn't make you fragile, it just means your body needs different care. And the danger comes when we forget that and try to live with the same habits we had in our 30s and 40s. The strokes I've seen in older adults haven't just come from obvious risks like smoking or junk food. They've come from good habits done the wrong way, from too much raw spinach in a daily smoothie, from cucumber eaten before bed, from garlic combined with blood thinners, from a broccoli salad eaten too often, from eggplant that tightened the vessels just a little too much. These were quiet choices made with good intentions, but they tipped the balance in bodies already more delicate. And the consequences weren't small. They were moments that changed lives, moments that took away clear speech, confident steps, or the ability to be fully present with loved ones. Not because of neglect, but because no one warned them. That's why I urge you, now slow down, ask more questions, read every ingredient, be curious before you add something new, even if it seems healthy. Listen when your body nudges you. Don't wait until it shouts, "You have more wisdom now." Use it. Share it. Let your decisions come from understanding, not pressure or habit. You still have time. Time to feel steady, clear, and well. Time to protect the independence you've earned. And time to live this chapter with intention. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to share one thing you've learned or plan to change. Let's encourage one another, not with fear, but with knowledge. And if you found this video meaningful, please comment 1 to let us know. Thank you for being here and for choosing to take care of the brain, the heart, and the body that's carried you this far.